It's Circular Economy Week. I'm Theresa Lacey from ClearlySo, and I'm really delighted to be here talking with two guests from Biobean. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Of course. So my name's George May. I'm Chief Commercial Officer and I'm one of the two directors at Biobean.
Great. Peter?
I'm Peter Griffiths, CFO of Biobean, fellow exec director with George.
ClearlySo has worked with Biobean on prior successful transactions. We really believe in Biobean's work and think it exemplifies what is possible in the circular economy. Biobean Limited is the world's largest recycler of coffee grounds. They're based in Cambridgeshire. And Biobean takes the spent coffee grounds from companies large and small throughout the UK and transforms them to value at an industrial scale. They give new life to a material previously considered waste. Biobean manufactures sustainable products from spent coffee grounds for a range of markets, both consumer and industrial, saving businesses money, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and contributing to the circular economy. ClearlySo is Europe's leading impact investment bank. We work exclusively with enterprises and funds, delivering positive social, ethical, and/or environmental impact, as well as a financial return. We were founded in 2008. And we've helped more than 150 clients raise more than $270 million in impact investment from our network of high net worth individuals, family offices, and institutional investors. Right, so I'm going to get straight into the questions, and I'm really excited to be talking with you guys today during Circular Economy Week. So George, tell us a little bit about how you actually source the coffee. Where does it come from and who are your customers?
Sure. So I think kind of as you said, actually, we take coffee from really businesses of all sizes across the UK. So whether that's the independent sort of high street coffee shops all the way through to the instant coffee manufacturers who are producing the instant coffee that you see in the supermarkets. One of our major partners is Costa Coffee. We recycle sort of 4,500 tons of coffee grounds a year from them and currently have the capacity for processing about 16,000 tons a year on site. And sort of we're on a trajectory towards meeting that. Obviously, at the moment, we've had a bit of a bump in the road with some of those volumes and where they're coming from. So although it's been difficult for lots of people with everything COVID related, and we've seen a bit of a tail off in some of the sort of the retail sources, so the likes of Costa and the coffee shops and the high street sort of sources, we're fortunate in that we work with a range of industries, and the fact that we can source the grounds from the industrial sort of sources, the instant coffee manufacturers, means that we have a route to obtaining the coffee. So we still see plenty of opportunity. And it's been very positive for us in that we've been able to maintain a good dialogue with the likes of Costa and other major chains, Cafe Nero and others who we work with, sort of as they go through their reopening plans and putting in place all the sort of procedures that they need. So I think from where we sit, the love affair in the UK with coffee isn't dwindling. It's just that people are drinking it in a slightly different way. And I think that we'll see a continued sort of growth opportunity for us, a continued opportunity, especially as we sort of get into the new normal or back to the old normal sort of thing.
What about your customers now? Are they changing as a result of this?
I mean, I think our customers will stay the same largely. Like I said, we will obviously have the opportunity to source a lot from the instant coffee manufacturers potentially. I think the way that people drink coffee obviously is going to shift a bit, with perhaps less focus on the high street and more on the home for a while. So again, those instant coffee manufacturers will continue to see a boom in trade. I think that we will still see the demand. You know, you've only got to look at the sort of queues forming outside Costa's and McDonald's and Greggs and other high street chains as they reopen, because people want to get back to that sense of normality. And, you know, speaking with the team at Costa, they expect to be back to near sort of complete opening later this year, albeit on a sort of takeaway and drive-through basis for the most part. So I think there will be some change. I think, interestingly, for a lot of businesses, as they start to come back to a greater or less extent into office working, you know, this last couple of months has sharpened people's focus on sustainability, reducing waste, environmental impact, and looking at ways to do that. And I think one of the things that our solution offers is a very tangible, easy first step into sort of environmental and waste saving opportunities. You know, everyone knows coffee, understands it, probably deals with it at home. We can work with people at large and small scale. And I think that sort of tangible innovation, that very obvious link to the sustainability side of things and immediate carbon savings that we can demonstrate will engage people. So I would hope that we see that continued opportunity and sort of look forward to working with more people as we get back into it all.
It's really great, and it's great to hear that some things will be back up to running soon. I'm going to turn to Peter. Can you talk a little bit about at Biobean how important impact is, and if there's some further work you're doing to be more impactful or giving more attention to how you measure impact?
Sure, yeah. Impact's really important to us. Personally, I wouldn't work at Biobean if impact wasn't something that we really focus on, really try to drive the business forward with. I think that's the same for George, and that runs right the way through the business. So down to the guys that we have operating in the factory, they're very conscious that what we're doing with these coffee grounds is a unique, innovative use for those grounds, and a very impactful way of using the grounds. So we've demonstrated that recently and sort of reconfirmed that with our carbon footprint assessment, which we have on the products that we make. We had that sort of peer reviewed this year, and that confirmed our understanding that the recycling of coffee grounds through ourselves into coffee logs produces an 80% CO2 saving versus alternative disposal routes. So just having that knowledge and consciousness in the team of the value that what they're doing is really helpful, especially when there's all these challenges out there at the moment. But it's great to know that what we're doing has more of an impact than just the financial. So in addition to the carbon footprinting work that we've done, we are working towards B Corp registrations. That's quite a long process, but we've done the initial self-verification of that and appear and believe that we are in a position to be able to go forward through the formal route to getting B Corp, which would be fantastic for the business and a great way of sort of shining a light and demonstrating the impact and the sustainability of Biobean. More broadly, that B Corp work has also motivated many of the people in our company, and we're putting together a sustainability improvement plan for the new year. We're really getting not just myself and George or the leadership team at Biobean to drive through sustainability and impact improvements, but really looking to get people from across the business to input and suggest areas in which they think we should focus to become a more sustainable, more impactful business. And then just a couple of other things that we've done are we've moved some of our banking away from sort of one of the sort of high street banking providers and into a specific impact banker. So that's quite good to know that obviously we've had funds across the year and they've been saved with a specific ethical bank, and that's obviously means that whilst we're not using those funds and are saving them, that ethical bank is able to do something useful with them as well. So yeah, it's very important to us, impact, and something which we are focused on, specifically report to investors about, have a work program and thread which is very key to the business, which we talk about board level, leadership team level, and really look to drive improvements month by month and hopefully become a B Corp at some point in the future and really demonstrate that impact.
That's really great. ClearlySo is a B Corp, so we look forward to welcoming you to the team when that happens. I've got another follow-up question, but kind of a further question for you, Peter. I mean, how much did you raise in your last fundraising round? If you're happy to tell us. But more importantly, of whatever you raise, how are you using it, and where have you put that to work at Biobean?
Yeah, sure. So we across 2019 we did a raise in a couple of steps where two institutional investors brought to us by ClearlySo came in. They were both sort of seven-figure amounts invested by those two investors, and in total we raised just over £4 million from existing investors, the new investors that came in through ClearlySo and a couple of other sources. So that was terrific funding for the business. And where that money has gone is invested into our factory, so our core solid fuel bioprocessing plant where we recycle the coffee grounds. We've increased the capacity of that plant. So George mentioned the 16,000 ton figure. To sort of get it up to that scale and operating at that scale efficiently is where the investment has gone. Also, we are fast growing in terms of our coffee log sales and our coffee log production. So we've scaled our capacity to make logs up with some more investment there. And then the remaining funds have gone into the R&D work that we do, so in the flavours area and how we can reuse coffee grounds. And then also we've done some work and continue to do work to look at how we can expand Biobean out of just the UK and into other geographical markets. And so some of those funds that we raised have supported us with some initial work that we've done overseas to look at the business opportunities in those areas.
Really great to see the impact of funding straight away. I feel quite lucky because I actually got to see the Biobean factory, so it'd be quite good to see what it looks like now.
Yeah, it's
all
different.
that work. So this next question is for George. I'm really interested in you telling us a bit more about the Flavors and Fragrance program and some of the milestones you've achieved there. And for you in this program, how big is the market opportunity that you see there?
Yeah, of course. So we've always maintained that coffee has a range of really interesting applications from those spent grounds. You know, that it's more than just the ability to create a solid biofuel. really those solid biofuels have allowed us to bring in a large volume of coffee, and we then know that we have a way of processing them into either the pellets or the coffee logs at the other end. And then it's the bit in the middle that you can do the really interesting stuff with. And for example, coffee retains about a third, or spent coffee retains about of the sort of aroma compounds from the virgin bean. And so what we've done is put in place a supply chain whereby we can maintain those grounds as a foodstuff, so they never become a waste. So that in itself was no mean feat and took some time. And we then had that process and that product confirmed as kosher and halal and all that. And then that gives an opportunity to extract from those grounds a natural extract that can be used in the flavor and fragrance industry, and in particular the sort of food and beverage applications. So one of the major areas is looking at sort of ready to drink coffee drinks, alcoholic beverages, so flavored vodkas and that kind of thing. It's a long, slow road, as I think many sort of businesses can understand, of trying to bring an innovative product to market. We've made some pretty serious headway in the last 12 months, really, since that investment round was closed, with the supply chain being signed off by trading standards and environmental health, the kosher and halal certifications, which allow us to really take that product to market. And we're now engaged with 2 of the 3 largest flavour and fragrance houses globally, who are actually coding the product, so onboarding it and going through the product introduction stages and the new supplier forms, because they want to start using that product. And it fits very nicely into some of the things I was saying earlier around this drive for sustainability, reuse of waste, and seeing waste as a resource rather than something that gets thrown away. And that story that sits behind the product is that's really where we get that engagement, and people understand that. And it's, again, the coffee piece is very tangible. So it's coming along. I think we felt a bit of a slowdown over the last few months. There's been a sort of the new product development side of a lot of industries has slowed down while there's been a focus on core function. But already, as this sort of lockdown eases and we start to move forward, we're seeing some greater engagement already. And again, it ties back into those stories about what people's focus will be going forward. In terms of the size of the market piece, it's a very interesting question. It's a very hard one to answer. We're bringing a product that hasn't been used before, that hasn't existed before. The ready-to-drink coffee market alone is a sort of $9 billion market and growing at 5, 6, 10% a year. So, whilst we're not saying we're going to suddenly sort of overtake that industry, what it says to us is the opportunity for a truly sustainable, innovative, natural flavouring in that market is huge. And I think for us, it has immediate global application. The coffee logs for us are a UK-based product at the moment, whereas the natural extract will instantly be a global opportunity that can be supplied across the world into different territories.
It's quite an exciting development. I'm quite interested to hear, and I'll just move to Peter for this one. So there's a lot of exciting things happening, which is great, but obviously George made reference to sort of the lockdown, and what kind of effect is that having on your business? And have your investors been in touch, and are they helping you through this? Are they giving any advice that you might want to share?
But the investors have been very helpful, and what they've really brought to us during the COVID period is the long-term view, I think. And we're fortunate to get investors who are long-term sighted when they invested into Biobean, and they're able to appreciate that there's ups and downs, of course, over the immediacy, but they are conscious and very much invested in Biobean for the long term because they see the long-term direction, I think, of consumer taste, society, and this desire and the need to recycle resources better. So it's been great that they've continued to support us, shared some insights on how other companies that in their portfolios are responding and reacting to COVID-19. But in general, I think their support has come as well, because Biobean, although challenged by COVID-19, we feel that we're in a reasonable place to manage our way through the challenge. So we were fortunate in the sense the lockdown occurred sort of in our low season. So as you can imagine, our coffee logs are really sold predominantly in the autumn, winter months. So having the COVID-19 occur in March is the least worst, as we put it at Biobean. This is a time when we're not particularly active in the sales market, and therefore the shutdown of some of our key distributors, so the B&Qs of this world, Waitrose, was not so impactful for us. We have been affected because we've had to reduce the number of shifts that we run at our factory. We've had fewer people working in the factory just to ensure we can observe social distancing and make sure that the risk is lowered. we've been able to do that and to just keep operating at a lower pace. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has meant we had to shut our laboratory. So where we do our research on the flavors and fragrances, it's a shared building and a place where a lot of people can interact with each other. So in the immediacy, we felt it wasn't right to keep that open. So that's an unfortunate delay for the business, but one we were able to manage our way through. We're also fortunate that this has occurred when not too far after completing a round, so we have funds and are able to ride this through. And we've also, lastly, we've seen actually that domestic fuels, luxury fuels have actually sold reasonably well during the lockdown. Obviously, people at home a little bit more, perhaps wanting to put the fire on in some of those more spring nights and enjoy themselves. So there's a bit of potential there as well for us coming out of this as to how coffee logs might perform if people are going to spend more time at home in the sort of post-corona crisis lockdown world.
I think a lot of people's habits will change, and I think people also are looking more at, circular economy solutions for themselves. If they're home more, they can see the impact on the day-to-day even more. So I guess it's quite a natural swing to George to talk a little bit about, jumping off of there. What does Biobean's growth plan look like for the next couple of years?
Like every business, we're ambitious. We want to grow. We believe that what we have as a business model is replicable, it's scalable. So there are some different limbs. We want to continue to take on more coffee. We haven't yet reached that 16,000 ton capacity at the factory in Alconbury. So obviously, bringing in more feedstock is first and foremost on the list. Developing that coffee log opportunity, looking to bring on more retailers. Pete's already alluded to, we believe there's a strong opportunity for this coming winter. Already enlisted one new major retailer for next year. So we're positive about that opportunity. And as I say, because we believe the opportunity, that the business model that we have is replicable and scalable, we're already started to look at overseas opportunities. So first and foremost, looking at the sort of the mainland European opportunities focused around the Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, where you have the higher concentration of population. You also have a large concentration of instant coffee manufacturers in that part of the world, especially sort of northern Netherlands and northwest Germany, where has traditionally been the key ports for bringing coffee beans into from around the world. So we believe there's an opportunity there that we have been actively pursuing and will pick up again when we're able to. And obviously this is the sort of the flavor and fragrance side of things. We believe that there are a range of high value applications that we can draw out of coffee. And what we want to be able to do is demonstrate those. The flavor and fragrance opportunity is one, but we're also beginning to explore sort of bioplastics and composite opportunities whereby we can supply a bulk raw material to the bioplastics industry, for example, to displace the need for synthetic polymers, to displace the need for virgin fillers and that kind of thing. So again, it drives at that, trying to bring a real circular story at an industrial scale. So for us, I suppose it's very much a case of sort of more and more, bigger, better, all of those things, but taking it one step at a time, sort of structured, steady growth. It's not an overnight thing. This takes time, but we believe we've laid strong foundations to really grow going forward.
I think we agree as well, and it's really exciting to see you guys do so much with the latest investments and also to dream and with vigor going forward. Well, thank you guys so much for your time.
Thanks.